Hello my friends, Mac here. We're up in Alaska filming our new video series, and to get here we took a multi-day ferry. So today we're going to talk all the details for how to take the ferry to Alaska. Before we get into all the details, I wanted to let you know that this video is brought to you by our friends over at the Dyrt. The Dyrt is a top-rated camping app featuring millions of photos and reviews of campsites all over the country. The app has all sorts of handy tools such as the trip planner feature, offline maps, public land map layers, and gear discounts. We are so appreciative of their support so we can make videos like this one. They've sent a code for us to share with all of you, and it's for a free 90-day trial of the Dyrt PRO. Use code BFN90 so you can take it for a spin for yourself as you head out on all of your grand adventures. We'll include that code as well as the link for where to use it in the description of this video below. All right, let's go catch the ferry. The ferry is known as the Alaskan Marine Highway and is a multi-day car ferry that leaves from Bellingham, Washington if you're coming from the lower 48 and stops in many coastal towns all over Alaska. The ferry is not a widely known option of transport to this area, and thus when we were doing our own research for our trip, we had a hard time finding information on things like how to prepare. Since taking the ferry ourselves, we have cleared a lot of those questions up and now we'll be more prepared in the future, and obviously we wanted to pass some of that information along to you. Before we get into the details, I did want to share a little bit of our own experience. This was our backup plan to get to Alaska, and so we didn't put a lot of stock in it being this big, grand experience. However, it absolutely was. I couldn't recommend the ferry more if you plan to explore Alaska. It in itself is an incredibly intimate way to see part of Alaska and Canada that's otherwise completely inaccessible. I will get more into the route soon, but the ferry takes the inner passage, meaning that it travels in a network of passages that weaves through islands on the coast of Canada and Alaska. In fact, I overheard the captain say that no other passenger boat truly takes the inner passage, no matter what the cruise ships say. At first, I didn't understand what he meant, but ultimately, that boat takes a route that is so shallow and so narrow that a boat any bigger simply wouldn't fit. If you love sightseeing and don't love traditional cruises, the Alaskan ferry is something that you would really enjoy. On the ferry, we saw countless waterfalls, pods of dolphins, seals, whales, the works. All right, I could talk about the splendors of the ferry all day, but let's get into some details. The ferry system is broken into 3 main areas of travel. When you call to book your ticket, they will help you select the right one for you. These areas are as follows: Southeast Alaska, across the Gulf of Alaska, and South Central and Southwest. In this video, we'll be focusing on South Central Alaska. However, this information will apply to the entire Alaskan ferry region. Here's a list of all the different ports and the travel times associated with them. We took the ferry from Bellingham, Washington to Juneau, and then Juneau to Haines a week later. When you plan your own trip, be sure to keep an eye on which towns have connecting roads to other towns. Many of the towns in southern Alaska are totally landlocked, such as Petersburg and Juneau. Others are not landlocked, but instead have connecting roads that go through Canada. Just something that you'll want to keep in mind based on what you're wanting to do. For more information about routes and travel times between ports, head over to the Alaskan Marine Highway website, which, as always, will be included in the description of this video. Pricing for the ferry varies seasonally. Naturally, in the summer, due to demand, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. The ferry also uses a dynamic pricing scale, so as the boat fills up, the pricing will go up with it. So the earlier you book, the better your ticket price will be. We booked 18 days in advance and paid $490 a person for our fare from Bellingham, Washington to Juneau, Alaska. Our connection ferry from Juneau to Haines, we paid $340 for us and the truck. I'll get more into vehicle pricing in the next section. We were worried that our truck was going to be classified as an RV due to our size and the fact that we have propane on board. Much to our delight, there are no additional fees for being an RV, and actually everything is charged by the foot. A standard size vehicle is 22 feet, and then anything after that gets charged by the foot. Our truck is 21 feet and received a standard vehicle fee of $1,500. Again, this will fluctuate based on space availability on the boat. To prepare the camper for being on the boat, it was requested that all of our propane be shut off and disconnected. Our gas cans also needed to be empty, and we needed to cut all power coming to the camper, which meant that we had to spend the day before thawing out and cleaning our refrigerator. My favorite part about the ferry is being able to sleep on deck. Sounds crazy, I know, but it's truly an incredible way to experience the passage. In addition to being allowed to sleep in a tent on deck, you're also allowed to sleep in lawn chairs under the solarium and in public lounge areas. This type of camping is only allowed on the deck behind the solarium. Tents have to be set up behind the obvious line, and the areas under the solarium are for lounge chairs only. All of these spaces are first come, first serve. If you plan to camp, you will want to bring a roll of duct tape to secure your tent to the deck. I actually laughed out loud when I read this on somebody else's blog, but it's important because you need to secure your tent to the deck because conditions can get windy. Could you imagine your tent flying overboard? That would be the worst, like the absolute worst. I recommend using a rainfly even if there is no rain in the forecast. You're traversing through a rainforest and there's a strong chance that you'll get at least a passing shower. Here are some things that you'll want to bring for tent camping on deck. Duct tape, as mentioned before. Earplugs, you're sleeping on a boat after all. Something to cover your eyes. Owen used a beanie and I used a buff. Tent, obviously. Sleeping pad and sleeping bag. Extra blankets. The ground is steel and very rough. We added a blanket under ours for a little extra warmth.
It was like the perfect temperature. I think that having the sleeping pad with the blanket over it was really nice. Yeah, I was just so cozy.
If you plan on sleeping in a lawn chair, you'll want to secure one as soon as you get on the boat in the solarium. An old veteran of riding the ferry did mention to me that on the boat it's law. If you have something on the chair, it's yours. There are always heat lamps on in the ceiling of the solarium. Even on a sunny day, it's really nice because there's always going to be some sort of a sea breeze rolling in. Whichever you choose between these two, it's entirely up to you, but I really do recommend that you sleep on deck. There's so much constantly happening that it just feels like you don't have to peel your eyes away if you're sleeping on deck. In the future, I think that we'll actually opt to sleep in a lounge chair as opposed to our tent. We have a super minimalist backpacking tent and it was a massive pain to set up. We spent 2 nights in the lounge chairs and it was really wonderful. You can also sleep in public lounge areas that are located all across the boat. I actually saw a lady who brought an air mattress and had it in between 2 rows of seats. In another lounge, saw a guy just sleeping on the couch. I can't speak to this option much just because we personally didn't do it ourselves. You can also rent a cabin on the boat that ranges in price, size, how many people it can sleep, and whether or not it has a bathroom. When we were doing our own research, I looked into cabins that slept 2 and had a window, and they were going for about $500. There is a full cafeteria on the boat that is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they have an impressive menu of food options for all of those different meals, as well as a selection of grab-and-go items and daily specials. Owen and I got just 1 meal on the boat, which was a dinner of 2 bacon cheeseburgers with a side of fries. In total, our meal was $23 for the 2 of us. You are more than welcome to bring your own food on the ferry and eat in the cafeteria, where they do give you access to their condiments, ice maker, hot and cold water, and even a microwave. We were under the impression that you didn't get access to most of these things unless you were eating their meal in their cafeteria. So we actually brought backpacker meals and cup of noodle for our dinners. For lunches, we made sandwiches using our own supplies, and for breakfast, we had meal bars and hot coffee that we made ourselves using their hot water. A popular thing that people seemed to do was to pop movie theater popcorn in the microwave in the cafeteria and then take it up on deck to watch the sunset. I was super jealous, and I will definitely be doing this in the future. We were very excited to hear that there were showers on the boat. Just about every bathroom has 1 to 2 shower stalls. that are totally free to use, as well as there's free towels at the bursar's office. Each shower was clean and had very hot water, and when you're done showering, all you gotta do is toss your towels in the hamper where the showers are. It was really lovely to shower right before we got off the boat in Juneau, and then 7 days later when we got back on the boat to go to Haines, we both showered before we had even left port. The boats were made in the late 60s or early 70s and thus are not well equipped with plugs. I seem to find most of them in the public lounge areas. I found one in the cafeteria and I spotted a few in the bathrooms around the boat. There is no Wi-Fi on the boat. However, you do pick up service from passing coastal towns as you go by them. I will say we had more service than I thought we would, but we did have long stretches of multiple hours without service. Sadly, we were not traveling with a pet, but I did find the process to be quite interesting. Your pet has to remain in your vehicle at all times. Rough, I know. Also, there's a pun in there. Pets are not allowed on deck or in any of the cabins. However, they would announce ahead of time when you could gain access to the car deck and for how long. The car deck was open for roughly 15 to 20 minutes, and you could use that time to spend with your pets or walking them around so they could go to the bathroom on the car deck. Yes, you heard that right. The boat provides cleaning supplies so you can clean up after your pet once they go to the bathroom on the deck. I heard many a frantic conversation between dog and owner trying to convince them that they were actually allowed to go to the bathroom on the floor. The poor things. You can also get off at all ports alone or with your pet to go for long walks. This was such a fun experience that I just felt like I had to share all the details with you all. I hope that this will help you consider taking the ferry to Alaska sometime, because I certainly know this will not be our last. In the description of this video below, we will include our blog post that goes into even more detail on this topic to help you plan your trip to Alaska on the ferry. We'll also include our code for a free 90-day trial of the Dyrt PRO, which is BFN90, and the link for where to use it. If this journey seems like something that you would be interested in, you should actually check out our first episode of our new series, which is also on our channel, so you can actually see how we documented it while we were on the ferry. Until next time, we'll see you down the road. Alaska. Did that sound right? As always, the light. I left something out, but I think it's fine. This type of not super well equipped. Look, not super well equipped. Well equipped. Oh my god. For how long? Okay. Pets were not. Oh my god. Access via the overhead. Oh my god. I don't know. Oh, is this still going? Yeah. Okay. It's available. No. Okay. We'll see you down the road. What's happening? Okay, we'll do that again.